Hola, muy buenas noches. Estamos aquí ya en nuestro primer live. Good night, good evening, everyone. We are here in our first live session. Mayoga Australia and Maite, director of Mayoga Australia, in our very first live session with hands for healing techniques, strategies to promote health and well-being. This time, we are sharing some strategies with two of our very special teachers of the Hands for Healing online training, very special teachers from Sintergética, from the International Association of Sintergética. We are hosting the training of Hands for Healing, and Mayoga Australia is also doing other practice to promote health, well-being, freedom, longevity, and all related with the new consciousness. And here this time with Juan José Lopera and Renato Segura, two amazing and very experienced doctors practicing for a few years, many years already, practicing medicine and Western medicine and also Sintergética techniques. I'm going to introduce, first of all, Juan José Lopera, Dr. Juan José. Welcome, Juan José. Many thanks for being here. Many thanks for sharing some strategies with everybody here to face 2021, very special year. Juan José.
Hi, good evening. My name is Juan José Lopera. I am talking to you from Colombia. Right now it is 5 a.m. here. It is very early in the morning, but however, after our getting ready for the day and aligning from the heart for this activity, I am very glad to be here. Maite asked me to tell you a couple of things about myself. I am a medical doctor. I graduated in 1987, and then I have spent a long time studying alternative medicine and introducing alternative medicine practices and natural medicine and vibrational medicine practices in my regular medical activity. And I must say that one of the big virtues of Hands for Healing is that it is not only very useful, very easy to master, but also it is accessible to anybody who wants to take care of his or her own health, or also to help support other health techniques as a regular therapeutic practice. It complements very, very well things like osteopathy, chiropractic, vibrational healing, Reiki, and also as part of a physiotherapy practice. Every therapeutic aspect of medical activity can be complemented with Hands for Healing, and that is the beauty of it. I have been doing that for many, many, many years, and many patients have reported the benefits of it. I spent right now 1 month in our farm. It is a remote land in the hills of Colombia, and there was a worker who came after falling from a horse. He had the big toe in his right feet very smashed. He smashed it against a rock, and it had begun to swell, and I began to use the basic Hands for Healing practices, and after a couple of minutes he said that the pain had gone. his recovery was a lot quicker. Of course, we put support, a small cast, not complete cast, but small cast support and a bandage. And we gave him complementary anti-inflammatory as it should be the regular medical practice. But the doctors in town, because we took him also to the clinic for x-rays and so on, they were amazed because of the speed of healing and how quick he got back to work again. And I have experienced that many, many, many times in my life. And that is one of the reasons why I keep doing this every now and then for years and years. So I am very glad to be here. I am thanking from my heart Maite and Mayoga Australia for the opportunity of being with you, of sharing this knowledge. And well, whatever you want to know, please let us know, ask your questions. And I don't know if Renato is already ready to come in.
He's coming after an introduction of a little bit more about the Hands for Healing online training that we are actually currently offering. So everyone that is interested in the training is welcome to join us to book their place. The information is in mayogaaustralia.com, all the information. We are currently offering a special offer, a special price for the online training of 5 modules, like very easy to remember with one hand. And in the meantime, if you could share some easy strategies, Juan Jose, as you were saying, sometimes you are in an activity, in an adventure in nature, or just in the office, or sometimes just at home with family. Because there is a quote that says that through self-healing, the healer is born. So sometimes some people is already a healer and are working already with self-healing, or sometimes we have also some other students that they are not healers, they are not doctors, or they are not health practitioners, but they are also interested in knowing more and more about these kind of strategies. Well, now Renato has arrived. So Renato is here. Welcome, Renato.
Hello. Hello, Juanjo. Hello, everybody. Good morning.
Hi, Renato.
We were talking about the very easy strategies that we're gonna share tonight about promote how to promote physical, mental, emotional health and well-being in this very special year 2021, after all this pandemic that we are facing. And very easy way to maintain yourself healthy, or your family, your clients, your the people that is around you, especially the self. No. Well,
Mike,
yes.
Let's first of all hear the little introduction of Renato. Let Renato present himself. Then we will give a small overview of the program, what is in every seminar talked about, the general applications, the general ways of using that. How is that important and relevant for the challenges and needs of this pandemic year, the second pandemic year, and then we can share with you some small tips about improving the way our immune system works, about being able to navigate with less stress and more energy through these times, and also small way of aligning ourselves and feeling more this purpose and support in these difficult times. So, Renato, I already did a small introduction about myself. I presented myself. So I invite you to tell us in a couple of words, who are you, what do you do, and why are you teaching at all hands for healing methods?
Thank you, Juanjo. Thank you, Maite. Good morning or good night for everybody. I am a human being, first of all. My name is Renato Segura. I am a medical doctor for the last 30 years. Currently, I live in Miami. It's very early here. And I've been practicing Sintergétic medicine for the last 10 years. I also work in the emergency room, so I have contact with the Western medicine all the time. But I've been involved in this kind of approach or view because in so many ways we found that we have many questions and few answers. And with this practice of Sintergétic medicine and hands for healing, the main thing that I found is that we are able to put the subjective part in our practice. It's not only about numbers, it's not only about diagnosis, it's mainly about life and how we can integrate this into our daily lives. And the other part is that I found through the years that there are so many people that they are not medical doctors, but they are involved in the aim of service other people, and we are working with that energy mainly, to help other people, to help the humanity, to understand ourselves like as a part of a network, and that's the whole idea of this practice. Thank you, Juanjo.
Thank you, Renato. So we began this training in Hands for Healing, which, however, if you begin with the next module, which is next weekend, you may see also online the recordings of the previous modules. The first module, the first seminar, the first unit of Hands for Healing is a general overview of the method, of its roots. We go back to ancient healing practices. We see the scientific evidence of the bioelectrical emissions of our hands, how it has been proven through the last few decades that our hands emit electrical biomagnetic impulses. They have polarities, biomagnetic polarities. They are also capable of emitting waves of life, photons. We present that evidence. We see some scientific evidence of the use of our hands in practice, in medical and therapeutic practices. And then we begin to look at the whole philosophy behind this method, because it is a very well sustained and supported, integrated method of healing. We begin by understanding how, and this is a current knowledge of the new physics, the universe is a field of consciousness. And then we begin to see how that consciousness condenses in the realm of information that is coded in the biomagnetic pulses of the stars, of light, of circadian rhythms, of the way in every living cell the genetic material codes the production of proteins, the structure of the tissues, the structure of the body, and all that information gives the system an energy basis to sustain matter as a living basis of the organisms that we know, and eventually in the evolutionary chain become ourselves, human beings. So we see all that picture in detail. We give this feeling and confidence that we can use our own hands, our intention, our alignment, our knowledge, our information to become healers, to become people who are involved in the sacred task of helping others, helping evolution. And we see the applications, we see the contests of the contexts in which one can use hands for healing, because one can use it in elderly homes, one can use it at home, one can use it in the medical practices, one can use it in jails. We have been using that in jails, in corporate environments, as an organizational development tool. So we see an overview and we see a little spark of every following seminar. The second seminar is the techniques of healing, especially. And Renato, please, can you tell us a bit about that second seminar?
Yes, the second seminar is mainly focusing the healing process, how you learn about this, what we call the cellular anatomy, the principles of the energy flow through the body, the landing of that energy through the main chakras of centers of energy or wheels of energy. How is the distribution of the energy, the quality of the energy, and what is the role that plays the consciousness that is a dynamic between the heart and the brain going through the hands. So it's basically how we can develop those skills in moving the energy and then finally project it into a sequence of dynamics based all in geometry through the body in order to reestablish the program, the energetic program, that is the one that is able to heal the physical, the mental, and the emotional body. So during the seminar, we're going to go step by step, showing you what are the main chakras, how they are connected to each other, how they work in the dynamics between the lower part and the upper part of the body, and how all of them is connected finally into the current of the soul and the consciousness.
Perfect. That also relates to organs and systems in the body, no?
Yes, because one of the pillars of the Sintergétic medicine is the integrated view. So we are able to see what is the indivisibility, that feature that we have as a human beings, and how we can project that into the times of the life, the tenses, the past, the present, and the future, how we connect that. Because healing is also able to understand the human being as a whole and also project that whole into the soul. What is the way that we can relate with the soul? So the healing is all of that.
Perfect. Wonderful. The third seminar, we call it Etheric Hands Therapy. And is basically a recollection of hands positions, of use of different fingers in a way that we can convey information, we can stimulate the flow of energy in the body. We work with the 3 Ayurvedic doshas or constitutions, the people who are more vata, air oriented, the people who are more pitta, fire oriented, the people who are more kapha, earth oriented, the systems in the body that relate to these 5 elements, and how earth, water, fire, air, and ether relate to different organs, to different aspects of the body, to different energetic movements that are correlated with pathologies, with physiological movements in the body. We also learn to use different parts of the body as doors to convey that information, to create biocircuits. There is a very, very interesting protocol, general protocol, that we call the conducting thread of therapy. And we begin by the symptom. We relate the symptom with its energy center through the secondary energy center, then this energy center to the polar balancing energy center in the body. Then we integrate that in the sixth chakra, sixth energy center. Then we bring back to the brain stem where the support, the life support, the past, the energies that support life are acting on the whole body. And then we go back with that information with a new hue, with a new meaning, with a new kind of processing. We go back to the point where we started, stopping and at every one of those stages and reprogramming energetically, informationally, consciously that part of the body. All that we learn on the third seminar. And it is very interesting also because the way the structure is constructed, we do a small recapitulation, a small review of the previous knowledge at the beginning of every seminar. So after your study and this recap and this possibility for you to ask questions, we begin with a very solid basis to construct the new knowledge of each one of the seminars. And the fourth seminar explores the reflex zones. Renato, can you tell us more about the fourth seminar, the fourth unit?
Yeah, the fourth unit, as you mentioned, is about reflexology. But the main issue is that through this view, we are able to understand these screens that are have a distribution through the body, like the ears, the eyes, the nose, the hands, the sole of the feet, how they are connected. Because normally the use of the reflexology is just using the screens in a connection, in a direct connection with some areas of the body. But we try to put this mainly through the connectivity, how these little things, this microsystem spread through the body, are really connected into the macrocosmos of the whole body, how they are integrated. And we call those little areas screens or somatotopies because they are part of the body. And with the integrated view, we are going to connect the brain with these areas also, areas like the tongue, the feet, as I mentioned, the foot, the hands, and how they are not. We are not looking those as maps only. It's mainly how they are connected through the hands, because with the hands we are making like impression of all these areas, and then we travel through the body according to a principle of resonance through the different system until we can integrate it. For example, if we're talking about the foot, it's not only to press some points in the foot, it's to get the impression of the foot and traveling through the body, mainly, for example, in the connection with the ear, and then from the ear in the connection with the brain, mainly with the ancient part of the brain we call the brain stem, or the reptile brain. So then we find reflexes not only in the energetic part, but also in the emotional part, and also in connection with our species, like not only as a human being, me, but also in terms of evolution. So we apply different systems through the hands mainly, and explore different areas of sensitivity, and at the end we put it in connection with the brain through the heart. So it means that we involve not only the sensitivity that we find locally in one point, but also connected into the expression of that point and the interpretation that is in the brain. And we're going to explore different ancient techniques that are developed since the 19th century. And at the end, what we're going to find is how this, in some way, this process is going to elevate our perception of ourselves, the inner perception, that at the end is going to help us to make a change in our symptoms. And from the symptoms, we're going to get one opportunity to look at different horizon from ourselves. So basically, this is how you integrate all the reflexology charts, all the reflexology maps into one system. That's the idea.
Excellent, excellent. And that's what you say about the heart. How is it that the heart, in its heart field, magnetic field, is circulatory function, creates that integration of the system? That is fascinating. Please tell us a little bit more about that, Renato.
Well, basically, the heart is the center of many different dynamics. The heart is the center between our connection with the heaven and the earth. We are in the middle. In our body, the heart is the middle part. It's also related with the frequencies. The musical notes is also related with the colors. You know, if you see the rainbow, the green color is in the middle, so that's what belongs to the heart. And also mainly because the heart is the magnetic part. So we are made of rhythms. We are sequences. So when we put any sequence into the body, at the end, that sequence is nourished by the heart because the heart is the master. It's the master of the rhythms. So also the heart is a magnetic field. So if we, for example, if you do an EKG in a patient and an electrocardiogram and an electroencephalogram, they have a connection, how these waves of information in the heart are connected with the waves of information in the brain. And there are many different studies that proves that that all the rhythm of the brain is controlled or is in resonance with the heart. So every single information that we have in the body finally is going to go through the heart to spread it and to create a systemic response. And the other thing is, from the heart, there is a strong connection. And I think this is the foundation of this system, is how the heart is connected with the hands. So we are making only movements with the hands to heal or to move energy. We are connecting those hands with the heart, and from the heart with the consciousness. So every movement is a movement of consciousness, not only a physical movement.
Excellent. So Hands for Healing is also a therapeutic approach from the heart. And the last one is the practical application of the techniques to different clinical settings. And we will be emphasizing the applications of what we have learned in the previous units to the specific challenges of this pandemic year. One of the challenges is, for example, to keep our immune system high, with good energy, with good reactive capacity, able to face the imprints of the virus, of the SARS-CoV virus. And in that way, we can offer you a very practical and simple tip. Isn't that true, Renato? Can you tell us about the tips that we use in Hands for Healing to improve the functioning of our immune system?
Yeah, but first I want to put in context that the immune system first is not originating in one single organ. It's a combination of information between main organs. Those are the thymus. Try to show you. The thymus is a gland that supposedly disappears when we grow up, but the energetic remains there in the thymus that is in the middle of the chest. I mean, above the nipples and between the sternum and the nipples here in this area. So that's the main part. Then you have the liver on the right side below the rib cage, and the spleen on the left side. Okay, but the immune system is also mainly a system of memory, because the way that we create also the vaccine is with memory. We get the stimulation in the body get used to that information, and then it's able to react. So one thing that we use is we move the energy, and with the energy, the consciousness between these organs, and with that movement, we establish a connection, and it's a continuous updating of this connection. So the exercise is mainly to activate that connection and to put it in our consciousness, so it can work at the end, like automatically. So we used to do an exercise that is with the method of tapping. We use the universal mudra that you're going to learn in the third module, in the third seminar. That is all the fingers together, because these fingers represent the different expression of the consciousness and the different dynamics of the elements that we have in the earth. So with these mudras, what we do is first we start in the thymus. In terms of immune system, we call this the cellular immunity. We activate the lymphocytes B and T from the thymus. So we make a little movement. Let's make it 3 times. We make a little percussion on the chest. So we activate the thymus. And then we move the hands to the left side on the rib cage. Then we are aware that this is located, that the spleen is located in this area. The spleen has 2 different chakras, but we join in one here. So we do another tapping. And then we go into the liver to establish the connection with the metabolism here in the liver. And from there, we go into a point here that is located below the belly button. It belongs to different systems, like in Chinese medicine, we call the conception vessel 6 or the dantian here. And from there, we go back through the tapping, we go back to the liver and the spleen chakras, which are secondary chakras, and from there into the thymus. Now, from here, we have to connect that with the rhythm of the body, with the system, which is controlled by the thymus and the pineal gland of the epiphysis. So the pineal gland is the connection with the soul and the information from the soul. So we put, as I mentioned at the beginning, we put everything in context. It's not only one organ, it's not only one system. So the exercise is doing this 3 times. So you go into the cellular immunity with the thymus, moving into the humoral immunity on the spleen, connected with the metabolism in the liver, go back to the dantian here. And if you see this motion are included in a geometry. So we make working with triangles and pentagons. We go back, this point below the belly button, these 2 chakras, the thymus, and finally the connection between the pineal gland and the thymus. So let's do it for the 3rd time. So we go thymus, spleen, liver, the dantian, and then we go back to the secondary chakras of the liver and the spleen, through the thymus, and the connection between the thymus and the pineal gland. That's one exercise. There are many, but this one, a simple one that you can make in a few minutes.
How often should one do that exercise, Renato?
You can do it 3 times in the day easily, but if you don't have more time than once in the day, you can do it. The main thing is not just that you are able to progress, to move your consciousness from the mechanical motion of these chakras to finally understand what is the purpose of that. Because one thing that happens is when you make a little stop in your sequence, in your daily life, and you spend time doing this, you are alerting your consciousness. So when you are doing this exercise, for example, you can express clearly what is your relation with the fear of the virus, for example. What do you expect? What do you think about this virus? If I'm going to die, I'm not going to die, my family, my friend. All the concerns that you have to put it into this practice, because then you are going to be able to have a different horizon. How do you relate with the fear? How do you relate with the expectation of death, and etc.? So again, this is not only about the mechanic of the movement. It's about how we are aware of who we are from this point.
Yes, and also that when the mind is aligned through knowledge and intention with the movement of the hands, it increases the energy, it increases the quantity of information, the quality of information that is conveyed into those healing movements. And it is because of that, it is very important to understand that all these movements that we will learn in Hands for Healing seminars are backed up by our consciousness, our knowledge, our intention, our alignment, our love, our capacity to heal and be and feel part of the human system as a whole. Maite, hi, you are there again. Tell us beautiful things.
Many thanks, Renato and Juan Jose. This is very amazing techniques. Thank you. I'm very grateful to be part of this program, of this wisdom, of this synthesis of many ancient techniques related with health. And it's a revolutionary way to see or to approach health. Many thanks for sharing this very simple and useful strategy to maintain our well-being. We have a few questions from the audience. For example, one is related that if this exercise is good for the physical health, emotional, and also mental, or is specific with one of the aspects?
There is one very important thing that we have to bear always in mind is, as Renato said so clearly before, we are a unity. We cannot say where our soul stops and begins our mind, and then our emotions begin, and then our body. If we feel an emotion, if we are concerned with a thought, if we are amazed by a contemplation state of mind in deep meditation, all our body is reacting. So we have to begin to see ourselves and our patients as a continuum of consciousness, information, energy, matter, interacting constantly in that web systemic wave of interconnectivity. That is one thing that we stress very strongly in our teachings, because one of the most difficult things for the Orthodox medicine is that we tend to separate into small little things, and we lose the perception of interconnection that takes place in the human body. If we hear a noise, immediately our heart begins to pound. That is a response to an increase in chemical compounds, noradrenaline, cortisol. We become stressed. That is attached to an emotion, that is attached to different thoughts about how fragile we can be, how vulnerable, what can happen to us, our future. Many things begin to work at the same time only because of one external input. So that interconnection reveals that every action that we take at any level, material, emotional, mental, informational, at the level of awareness and conscious, is going to have an impact in the totality of our being. And that is why we proclaim that Hands for Healing is a life-transforming experience. Not only we are going to learn techniques, we are going to heal ourselves and become healers in the process.
Very clear answer. Many thanks, Juan Jose. We have more questions, and we encourage our friends watching to ask more questions. This is the time we have here the teachers, the masters, to answer any questions. So another question is related with what you were saying as you as a Western medicine doctor, traditional doctor, we could say. The question is, could you share how or why you, as trained Western medicine doctors, got involved in this Hands for Healing or Sintergética? Is this usual for medical doctors to apply or accept this type of techniques or concepts? That's the question.
Well, it's a very good question. Yeah, it's a question that we do ourselves every day. But let me tell you this. Western medicine, we grow up with that, and we have a lot of benefits from the Western medicine. The surgeries, the vaccines, the treatment for cancer. We have a lot of success with the cancer treatment. So we are not against Western medicine. We are part of the Western medicine. Now the problem is, for me, is a simple problem. Is Western medicine treats diagnosis. We make conferences around the world about treatment for Parkinson's disease, for Alzheimer's disease, even for the COVID. But we forget about the people. So it's like we don't take in consideration the subjective experience. So in my particular case, and I think it's the case of other professors in Hands of Healing, is that's not enough, because that doesn't explain the life as a whole. Because we have jobs, we have families, we have emotions, we have illusions, we have expectations, we have our personality. So the life passes across through ourselves. So if we only think about a technique, about Western medicine, about diagnosis, about medication, we forgot the experience of the human being. And that's made you feel empty. And that was my particular case. I feel empty in many of the situations that I learned in the school. So then with this approach, I was able to reconnect myself, my expression about life, the way I feel about poetry, the way I want to tell something to the patient. And we learned through that sometimes when we see the patients with some specific complaints, if we listen carefully and we pay attention, we are able to connect with that inner human being, with that sensitive part that is the real expression of themselves. For example, you find a patient with any symptom and you ask about the job, and the person said, oh, I'm not very happy with my job. I have a patient that he died last year. He had a stage 4 cancer of I guess it was the liver or the colon, I don't remember. And I was talking to him and he said, you know what, doctor, I'm really worried, I'm scared. I said, why? Because when I get cured of this cancer, I need to go back to my job. And I hate my job. I hate my boss. I don't like the way they pay me. I don't like the way they treat me. So that was really the main situation with the guy, because he doesn't want to go back to his job. So that's what we consider here. We say the human being is a whole. So if you have a symptom, we have to look what's going on in his life. And that's, for me, is the main reward, the main retribution in this practice, that every patient is an adventure. You don't know where you're going to go. And also because with that listening process, you become, again, in practical terms, a humble person. Humble in terms of that you are learning something that you don't know. So every patient is something that you don't know. In the Western medicine, sometimes we work by memory. We work by which protocol I have to use, which molecule I have to use, and we forget that inner part, the real expression of the human being. That's the main thing for me.
Wonderful, Renato.
Want to add something, Juan Jose, to that answer?
Yes. For me, at the beginning, it was the answer to an inner urge of seeing life as an integrated system, which I carry from very early in my life. And in the second in the second part, it was a personal experience. My mother was suffering from a chronic trigeminal nerve neuritis, which is a condition of the trigeminal nerve, which is very, very painful, which is something that Western medicine now has some more tools to work with, but is not very effective at all. And 35, 40 years ago, it was almost hopeless. My mother had been to different neurologists, to different neuropsychiatrists, neurosurgeons. She had received many therapies, and it was a continuous pain of her face, sometimes as a migraine, sometimes as a pinching, electrical, spiking pain in some areas of the face. And it was very incapacitating, and it was associated with chronic depression. We went to Dr. Carvajal, Jorge Carvajal. I was 17 years old. I was in my first semester of medicine, and after 2 sessions, my mother had one next episode about 4.5 years after that. And it was again responding to the Sintergética methods. And that was life transforming for me. At that moment, I said, well, and I also began to speak with Jorge Carvajal, and I asked him why he was doing this and that. And the way he began to explain to me the integration of a systems view of the human body and the relationship with emotions, with social life, with life as a whole, I said, well, this is something that can be like the reading map of reality for my medical practice. And that is one very important thing. What Renato says is fundamental, and that is one of the big dilemmas of modern medicine, because in that sort of fragmentary approach to health and healing, it has become almost impossible to pay as a system, as a healthcare system. Also, it is a healthcare system which is not oriented to health, is oriented to disease. We want to create a system that begins by promoting health, by promoting health and a happy life, integrity of living, and also to be able to work against disease and to cure disease, to recover and rehabilitate from trauma, from different chronic problems. But in the original seed, in the basis of this whole system, is health and health promoting. And that is a big difference to our health system, which is based on fighting disease, not promoting health.
Maite, one more thing, sorry, I want to mention there about the question. It's not. It's also important to let you know that medicine is only one. So we are medical. It doesn't matter which technique we use, as long as we are aware of this, the description that we just made. So, for example, when I work in the emergency room, it's not only about what I do in the emergency room. I know what I have to do in terms of protocols, but I permanently connect with this approach. Follow me? So I carry on that thing inside myself. Medicine is only one. It's the way that you use it.
Yeah, and you cannot separate it. As you say, that is very beautiful, Renato. When we give an aspirin to a patient, if we are in a state of deep connection with that patient, if we are in a state of inner alignment, if we are impregnating that act of prescribing a medicine, a specific chemical compound to work against the disease, to give the body something that it lacks. And if we do it from this mindset, it will have a different effect. We now know, because of the medical evidence in studies shows us that two surgeons performing the same technique, being completely excelling at their technicians' abilities, they have different results in terms of complications depending on their mindset. They do exactly the same. If they are connected, if they are empathetically aiming to aid, to help his patient, if they are in a calm, relaxed, focused state, they perform better, and the act of surgery becomes also a bridge, a medium, a vehicle to transmit that state of mind and soul to the patient. So every act that we do as medical doctors, every therapeutical act should have this wholeness, this completeness, this capacity of being consciousness, information, energy, and acting with and through matter. That is very, very important. Thank you, Renato.
Thank you, Renato. Juan Jose, I agree that this is the main thing, that approach is more related with health, not with the disease, more related with the person, not with the symptoms, and is the main thing that I changed my career. I used to work in the finance world, and corporate, and now I'm in all this related with health, in this new approach, revolutionary way, an approach to see it. And continuing with more answering questions from our friends audience. One of the questions I can answer it is related with if we could translate this into Spanish, and I could say that this is actually very, very special time that we are doing it in English. The main thing about Sintergética or Sintergetics, it's been in Spanish in Latin America, and now in Australia in English, and well, many other content is in Spanish already. And if you're interested,
they can visit sintergetica.org, and they have there tons of information in Spanish, PDF documents, articles, videos, a lot of material. In fact, and related to the previous question also, there are more than 20,000 people around the world, 99% of them in Spanish or Portuguese speaking areas, who have done the trainings either of Sintergetics or Hands for Healing. So all that material is available at Sintergetica, SINTERGECA. So you can download, browse, you can become aware of all the tons of materials that are there.
Yeah, the website is in the stream. They can just have a look there. So yeah, a lot of material already available in Spanish, and now we are doing it in English after a few requests. Well, another question is related to what you were mentioning about the belief system. The question is that if this practice and techniques have a different effect depending on the beliefs of the person who is receiving it.
Renato, do you want to answer that, or should I?
But I can take my expression, and then, yes, I mean, to answer the question, I go to the general principle that we have in Sintergetic, and this that has many applications, and that is, we have in any human act, we have the action, we have the reaction, and the main thing, we have the relation. So in a simple way, when you approach anybody or somebody approach you with a specific complaint, you establish a relationship, a possibility. So one is, what is my complaint is the action. How I listen to that complaint, how I relate to that complaint is the reaction. But between me and the person, between any practitioner and the patient, that develops a relationship. So if I only want, for example, if I listen to the complaint and I only want to put my protocol, it's basically I only want to do it my reaction against that person. But if I'm open and I listen, then I create the possibility of the relationship. And in the relationship, there is the main thing that I understand through the years is you have the chance to get open or get the expression of the consciousness. What it means is, For example, you have pain in the physical body, in one specific place in the muscle. I make some pressure. I cause an action and reaction. But if I understand that, for example, that particular pain in some specific area is also associated with an emotion, then I have the possibility to express that emotion through the action and reaction. So is when you are doing any consultation with a patient, you need to understand which are the beliefs, for example, the religion, which are the expectations. You make a relationship with the expectation, and you are able to approach that patient. So it's not only what you make intellectually, it's also what the connection that you have to do physically and energetically and emotionally, of course. So from that theme, you always, with respect, will understand which are the expectations, and you try to put in terms of that. Obviously, when you do any kind of procedure of action with the hands, you need to request permission for the patient, and you have to respect the beliefs. I mean, you don't have to change the religion, or you don't have to believe in me or being a Muslim or a Christian to do that. We relate from the human being.
Thank you, Renato. I would complement what you have said with some very simple things. Yes, beliefs, systems, and the fact that if people are believing in the therapeutic systems is a help, but is not completely necessary. We see many people in our everyday practice, medical practice, who come and say, well, my wife sent me here, I don't believe in anything of this, so let's see what happens, and they get better. And when many people ask me about that, I recommend them to read an article that is available through Google Scholar. It's a paper of a study that was made on mice that had metastatic breast cancer. They did a therapeutic touch, remote healing with the hands on the mice, with the control group, and they recall some data showing evidence of better recovery.
We cannot hear you very well, Juan Jose.
What?
We cannot hear you very well. We have something in your sound is not very good, but you were talking about some research that is showing effects on mice. So let's
Yes.
Yeah,
Let me see what happens. Now it's better?
Yeah, now it's better.
Good.
Not too much.
Yeah, not very well. Well, we lost Juan Jose for a little bit. He will be back. And well, in the meantime, I have another question. Maybe you could answer it, Renato. Is related with some of the belief system that apparently, well, is coming from someone that is studying medicine, and he said that in his understanding, the thymus gland, it is a gland that disappears when you are growing up, around when someone is around teenager or the thymus gland start becoming very little and suddenly becomes just a fat, a piece of fat or something like that. So you have any? Juan Jose is back.
Hi.
You want to finish that comment about the research about?
Yes. When people ask me about the weight of faith and belief in this kind of therapies, I tell them always that it has an impact. The way, if you believe or not, the power of belief is known to medicine for many centuries now, 3 or 4 centuries, but is not the only fact. Many people come to our medical practices saying, well, I am here because my wife sent me. I don't believe in any of this, so you have to prove me wrong. And they become very, very big fans of the methods because they experience in themselves the transformation. And also, I relate people to Google Scholar. I tell them, look for the studies of therapeutic touch healing on mice that have breast cancer. It is very difficult for a little mouse to have a belief system in pro or against hands of healing. And if it works in animals, it is beyond any belief system. I have seen it also with animals in my farm. I have seen it with my dog. I have seen it with a cow. There was a cow who had a scratch, infected scratch in her breast, and it was very swollen. We had to give her antibiotics, but after the first session on the first day of Hands of Healing, the size and the tenderness of the breast was a lot less, and that was not yet due to the effect of the antibiotic. So I have seen it in animals, I have seen it in people that don't believe in that, and I have read articles of papers, scientific papers, of experiences in animal controlled studies which rule out the need. Not that the belief system doesn't help, it helps, but it is not needed or necessary for the system to be effective.
Okay, many thanks, Juan Jose. When you were not here, we asked another question about the thymus gland, that apparently when people is studying medicine, there is a belief that the thymus gland disappears when someone is growing up. And Renato was about to answer that question.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mentioned at the beginning. Yeah, he's right. The person who asked the question, he's right. It disappears at puberty. Normally, it disappears and it's only a remaining of fat tissue. But that's part of what we mentioned at the beginning. Our mother is really energy. So the energetic vibration of the thymus remains through the whole life, because this is the one that create the lymphocytes B and T, the T. So even if it's not there as a gland, the energetic remaining is working, and we're working with that vibration in order to organize the immune system. So he's right.
We call that archetypes of function, form, organ archetypes. So there is, for one side, the physical organ and the physical function of the organ. There is, on the other side, the functioning archetype, the anatomical archetype, the way the information that is in the organ, that creates the organ from the genetic material, that tells the body and the organ in which way it has to function in accordance to the way the totality of the system works, that has an order, and that is beyond, many times can be proven, it is beyond matter and form. And that is why what Renato was saying, the organ degenerates, but the functioning archetype remains. It's the same with the pineal gland. It calcifies, it becomes a grain of calcium, but it remains functioning as an archetype. Also, it remains producing melatonin, transforming serotonin, and also the thymus. It disappears as the original tissue, but it remains programming also cells in our immune system.
Many thanks, Juan Jose. Very clear, and Renato. Just for before finishing, we have a few questions. Also, someone asking if we could repeat the exercise that is the main strategy to promote well-being. We could. I promise we could do it before we finish this session. But another question is. You have mentioned some examples of cancer patients and also some chronic pain. Can you give other examples of how you have successfully applied hands for healing techniques? What are some common situations where it can be very successful and the difference between these techniques and Reiki?
The main difference between these techniques and Reiki is that in Reiki you're a passive vehicle through which this universal energy, healing energy passes through. In our system, you become a knowledgeable agent, which many times, depending on the patient, chooses a different approach. So we are human beings, we are evolving human beings that are going from a stage in which unconsciousness, then instinct and group consciousness, and then individual consciousness and decision making processes has been the way from the first living cells to human brain. The human brain itself, it has evolved from the reptile, the basic brain stem, to the mammalian limbic system, to the neocortex, the human brain. In that evolution, which is going up and forward, we come in the latest stages into the realm of thought. We have a nostalgia of those times when we were ruled by instincts. And many people see the evolution of the brain, the evolution of thought as an evil thing. We see it as the way to develop an integral human being, a complete human being. So it is very important. We have to give our basic reptile, middle mammalian emotional life and human experience of life its right place. We cannot forget emotion, we cannot forget our bodies, but we can continue developing consciousness, awareness, the ability of working with our thoughts to take decisions, to increase our responsibility, to become co-creators of life. And that only can happen developing our ability to understand and actively work with the information in the world. That is our way of evolution as human beings. And that is very important because there are many schools of different types of yoga, of different types of meditation that says, no, thought is evil, thinking is evil, is only through emotion, is only to returning back to the body. Yes, we have to go back to the body, but without forgetting our thoughts, without forgetting our thinking processes. In fact, and that is the main difference between Reiki. Reiki is a devotional action in which we give ourselves to this universal healing energy and we become completely passive. Yeah, now in our system, yes, we devote ourselves to that energy, but we also increase our knowledge and become responsible agents that interact in an intelligent way with the human body. So if it were only because of intention, we will be already an harmonious humanity, because almost 99.99% of mankind want to live in peace, want to have harmony. If we were as simple as that, as have the right intention and nothing else, we will be already transcending this conflicting stage of development in mankind that has taken more than 2 millennia, and that we still have. So that is very, very, very important. We are responsible human beings. We have to devote ourselves, of course. We have to give up, but we have also to interact in an intelligent way. And that is why in the hands of for healing training, we give a lot of practical and rational tips and basis for that work. I don't know, Renato, if you are of the same opinion as myself, but please tell us, what do you think about that?
Yes, Juanjo, thank you. And also, going to the question, I wanna mention something that for me is very important. That is, when somebody asks, "Do you treat cancer? Do you treat Alzheimer's? Do you treat Parkinson? Do you treat ADHD?" I say no. I don't treat anything. I treat the patient. I treat the history. So this is not doing magic to treat cancer and put the hands and disappear the cancer in a spectacular way, because we consider that every human being has a responsibility to understand what is the meaning in his life. And sometimes, and unfortunately, that moment arrives only when the people are sick. For example, when anybody has a cancer, it's a big change in the life, not only for the person, but by the family. So when we're talking about cancer, in terms of hands for healing and Sintergétic medicine, we're talking about the history that is behind that diagnosis. That's more important than anything, because we had that idea that we had to fight against the disease, and no, this is a process. This is an opportunity, better to say, to understand our life from that situation that is happening. Because again, it's not only me; it's also the people around me. So we have many, and I'm sure Juan Jose had the same, many patients with cancer that we were treating, and they they get cured, but some others not. But at least they understand what is the process of their lives. I give an example. Because you remind me that I have a patient that I know for the last 7 years, and she's an elderly patient. Right now, she's 84. And when I met her the first time, she had a breast cancer on the left side, and she get in remission. So she get cured for that cancer, and then she was fine. She's a good mother, a widow. 1 year ago, I started noticing that she has some changes. She has some blood in the urine, and so I suspect that she has a recurrence of the cancer. So I sent it to the oncologist, and we found that she has a cancer in the kidney. And finally, she need to go to surgery. The kidney was removed, so she's working only with one kidney. Then I saw her just before Christmas, and she arrived with her son. She was very concerned because for the last 3 weeks, she told me that she has hypertension, tachycardia. She feels too much pain in the left side of the breast. She went to the hospital. They did all the tests that you imagine, MRI, CT scan, all the blood tests. Everything was normal, but the patient is still very anxious with high blood pressure and tachycardia, in spite of the medication also. So the main thing is when she came into the room, I noticed that she has, her hair was very disorganized. She was always an elegant lady, but this time the hair was disorganized. So that calls my attention. So I put the patient in the table, in the examination table, and I put my hand across her body, and I noticed that some kind of vibration in the fourth chakra. So I start to ask her question, and that's the main thing. I say, what happened around the time at the beginning of the symptoms? 3 weeks ago, what happened? And she said, no, nothing happened. Everything is the same, blah, blah, blah. And then this resonance, this vibration continues on the fourth center. Of course, you think that, as a medical doctor, I think a lot of possibilities why she's having this hypertension, and all these blood tests and images were normal. So I keep asking questions. I say, what else? He said, oh, my sister died. My sister passed away at that time. The sister is about her age, maybe 1 year younger. And that when she said that, this part of the heart started to practically jump. And I asked her, what do you do with your sister? No, she was always visiting me every week, and she made my hair. When she said she made my hair, I remember what I saw when she came into the room. Then we balanced the third and the fourth chakra, and that was it. That was the end of the therapy. I saw her last week, and she told me, I don't know what you did, doctor, but those symptoms disappear. So the point that I'm trying to mention here is that it's just the awareness that something that for her at the beginning was very normal because she tried to deny it. Then it was very important that it changed the appearance of her. And that was the main issue. It's not the tachycardia. It's not the hypertension. It's not to treat the cancer. It's that you get involved with the history. That's the main thing. When you connect with that, that's more important than treating that. So it doesn't mean that she did not receive the real treatment if she have cancer. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes we have patients with cancer that we listen to the patient and they say, I want to do the chemotherapy, I want to do the surgery, but I want that you stay with me, that you give me some support in terms of the therapeutics, in terms of the emotion. Or other people that they say, I don't want to have anything to do with the oncologist, I don't want to do any surgery, I want to die on my own. Then we also say, okay, we stay with them. We go into the process. So this is the main message for me is this is not against anything. This is to understand.
Many thanks, Renato. Many thanks, Juan Jose. We are a little bit more than an hour already in this live session, and we have more questions. People are, our friends, the audience is asking questions. And
if you want, Maite, you can send us those questions and we write down or make small video clips with the answers and we send it, we post it as a complementary action to this broadcast because it will be available in the internet, isn't it?
yes, now this live session, it will be recorded, so people can just have a look anytime and watch it again if they are already here. Many, many thanks. And the only thing that we could ask you if you can repeat again, please, that exercise is a very simple and powerful, useful exercise to promote your well-being. And
It would be very nice that you do it.
Yeah, Maite, you can do it, right?
Yes, do it yourself.
okay, and also someone else was asking as a yoga instructor if you could add these exercises into the class, and that's part of the more aware yoga approach and concept that is part of the yoga practice. No, you could use your hands and take advantage of the whole power that is within you and in your hands. And as you were saying, the responsibility, so is your own responsibility, and of course you can mix it with good nutrition, sleeping well, eating, drinking water, all the well-being habits that is also part of the practice. Something else to add, or we go to the exercise?
Go to the exercise. You know hands for healing. For many years, you practice that. You have integrated hands of healing, hands for healing in your yoga practice. It would be beautiful to see you performing the little exercise.
Just one more thing before you do the exercise, Maite, just to finish this. My invitation also is, as Juanjo mentioned, this is not only about techniques. This is about common sense, because you, as a human being, we all share the possibility to ask questions. So my invitation is to keep asking questions. In terms of the disease, what are my expectations? What is my fears? What I can change after the disease, if I have any disease, And also, not only as a patient, also as a therapist, is which are my expectations, what I want to do with this patient, if I be qualified only to treating the pain and get success or not. All these questions are very important because at the end, everything that happened to us is involving the others. So I say, without the others, there is no me. Without the ambiguity, there is no identity. Without despair, there is no hope, and mainly without the end, there is no start. So keep that alive in your practice.
Perfect. Many thanks, Renato and Juan Jose. Okay, to finish and do the exercise again, we could, of course, do it with conscious breathing, conscious smiling, and is a very important part of the practice of the hands. You can activate your hands first as well, clapping and warming up your hands. Bring your hands into the union mudra or integration mudra. Both hands into the thymus gland. You can tap a little bit. Bring your hands to the spleen on your left side, to the leva on the right side. You can do it separate. Visualizing the triangle. And also then a little bit below the navel, so into the lower tantien, and back to the thymus gland. And from the thymus gland, one hand up to the pineal gland. Keep tapping. You can change your hands a few times and feel the connection, connecting thymus gland, pineal gland. Bringing the information into your immune system. And you can finish with the freedom mudra, with a very beautiful affirmation that I accept, I respect, and I love myself with unconditional love. And I can feel the unconditional love from the universe to myself. Expand your arms, stretching yourself, and finish with a big hug, hugging yourself with unconditional love. Sometimes we are now with the social distancing, missing hugs, but you can hug yourself anytime. And we need to always remember that. Lots of love. Sending you a big hug, Renato, Juan Jose, and all of our friends watching us. Many thanks. It's been a beautiful live session, broadcast. Hopefully not the last one. And we encourage people to book their place in the Hands for Healing online training. A beautiful approach to health and well-being, and beautiful teachers sharing their experience for many years, experiencing this awareness and healing through consciousness and the power of your hands. Many thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
See you next time.